Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Apurv Malik, and I welcome you all here in this webinar on behalf of TNV Academy. First of all, I thank all the participants who have joined this particular webinar today with us. Now, let me introduce the speaker of the day for today's webinar. We are glad to have Mr. Ajay Bajpai with us as the guest speaker of the day today. The topic with which he is here today with all of us is ISO 37001 anti-bribery policy's successful implementation through anti-bribery objectives that is covered under clause 6.2 of the standard. This is a topic in which we all must be deeply interested as ISO 37001 is a very new addition to the ISO family and now is being used by several organizations to eradicate the malpractice of bribery from their processes and operations. Mr. Ajay Bajpai has audited several organizations for ISO 37001 standard and has assisted several others in the implementation. Our distinguished speaker, Mr. Ajay Bajpai, has done his bachelor's in engineering in metallurgy stream. He is also a lead auditor in ISO 9001, 14001, 45001, 37001, 22000, 27001, 13485, 22301, and 50001 standards respectively. If we talk about his overall industrial experience, then he has around 38 plus years of experience in field of manufacturing, design, quality control, and quality assurance. He has been imparting training to a number of organizations, entrepreneurs, and individuals on various topics related to ISO terminologies and how ISO standards are implemented within organizations. This was just a brief introduction of our guest speaker today. And now, ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Mr. Ajay Bajpai. I may request Mr. Ajay Bajpai now to please take over and start the webinar.
Thank you, Apur, Rishabh, and I could see many other names, Surikant, Anil, and many other participants to this webinar on a discussion on to the achievement of ABMS objectives through what? The policy achievement and objective achievement. You see, into the training, implementation, auditing, we have seen these languages being used, which when I said the first sentence, this was not clear maybe to most of you because we are able to formulate a policy. We have seen into many standards in last couple of decades through the involvement of our global team. Our team is based globally. We have auditors, trainers who are based at almost all locations in the world, and we keep on sharing and discussing these topics, then how it is globally being implemented. So what happens? Any standard, the policies are drawn. It is as per the plans and the thinking and the visions and mission. It is all that said in policy. But when we really get into third party auditing, particularly, and many of us have also been into the maybe the consultancy, the training, the implementation. See, we conduct these webinars for the benefit of the globe and for the benefit of the global community to achieve the best results out of the experience which we have achieved in last 4 decades or so. If we talk of mandate, it may be many decades maybe in our team, which is globally available. So for this particular standard, when we talk of, we have had a few videos and few webinars earlier on to these topics, which can be seen in our YouTube channels if you have subscribed it, and you can subscribe to that. Apur will explain you that in the end, and you can ask many questions by going into those webinars. I keep on getting lot of questions. So what I have started discussing is based upon the questions which I have gathered in last 2 to 3 weeks on this particular subject, on the topic of policy and objectives. Policy drawing, policy documentation is very good, but how to implement it? Policy cannot be implemented just like that. Many companies will just display here and there, and they say, oh yeah, it is implemented. Some auditors will also go and they, yeah, it is being implemented. But what is the real implementation? Do we get the value out of this policy statement? How to get into the actual modus operandi of implementation and achieve the desired result, which has been laid down as by statements of AB policy. Those are achieved through objectives into all standards, and in particularly since this is a new standard, even the theme is not clear to many organizations which had been for training, for discussions and for auditing. They just say yes, we are going for ABMS, few months we have implemented, achieve something, not achieve something, we are confused, and so on is the status. So what we want to discuss here is the how to achieve it through smart objective. Smart objectives are a requirement which will lead the organization to achieve their policy requirement. So establishment is one part, and the objectives smart being implemented is another part. So we want to see it from a measurable and practicable angle. If we had situations where our team sometimes has reached so late into a particular country from traveling from another country that they have only a few hours of night available for a document review before they get into the site audit. So that company had laid down the objectives so smartly that by reviewing the objectives into management review meeting itself, the entire picture, the entire situation of the organization was clear to them, because they have done this, the measurable. They have taken care of these accounts. They have gone into the context of organization. They have gone into the risk and opportunity. They have gone into the documentation actually, and it has become achievable, and they have monitored it. On the other hand, we have unfortunately been to some companies where we have tried to see in the objectives, but they were different from what was the thought of the anti-bribery policy, which is the requirement. So this was the theme with which we are going on today, to try to understand how the objectives can make the policy to happen as a policy in the organization. So let's go further. Somebody's mic is on, so he can switch it off so that all others are not getting disturbed. Thank you. So next is what? Another very important point at linked with clause 7.4 is the communication. Lot many times we have observed into the auditing, even in internal audit supports, we have seen by discussing with the some of the internal auditors or into the training with the internal auditors teams, that yes, communication itself was not adequate. Communication, they say they were trying to demonstrate, but effective communication is what we'll be discussing today, and how to audit that. And it also needs to be updated as appropriate. Objectives once drawn needs to be updated. When we are tracking them, we need to continually upgrade them. How the in a particular department linked from inspection to quality control to the top management and storage, how the bribing situation has been identified, how governing body has further made suggestions so that they can be further updated. And documentation of these is a requirement, so definitely we all will do it. So how to achieve it and what all we will be doing it, now we'll discuss that. What will be done when we are talking of a anti-bribery objective into the organization, which has been come out of a policy and vision of the company? What will be done? How we see that it is communicated, and how it will be implemented? The teams are made, and those teams will be implemented, and monitoring is done on a continual basis for a couple of weeks, couple of months before those documents are finally drafting to draft one stage and draft two stage and so on. What resources will be required? What resources means what? Company will decide, I will do it myself, or I will have a consultant, or I will send my team for a external training, or they will undergo through a series of webinars to understand, or they will have get into question answer session after the webinars and so on. Who will be responsible? It is the governing body members already responsible, or they have delegated the responsibilities and made some other person responsible, and an authority has also been delegated with respect to AB functions. When the objectives will be achieved, when we talk of smart, time, tangible, tracking and all is the key to the functions. As I have given the example, in some organization, by looking into the objectives itself, we could run through the entire ABMS function of the organization couple of hours. They have done it so well, because they have said yes, 3 months, 4 months, 6 months. Every objective cannot be achieved in similar kind of a time. We have seen organizations saying yes, sir, this particular thing in store management will be achieved in 1 month. QC also 1 month. Sir, inspection also same month. Sir, machine also purchase streamline in 1 month. All that is not appreciated by our we global auditors, because every objective is typical. Every situation of bribing is different. You cannot control everything in 1 month. So depending upon what is the objective situation, it is the inspection, it is the the transportation, it is the supply chain, it is the receiving of the material, or it is the dispatch, bribery, or it is the acceptance of material being bribed somewhere at times by contractor, subcontractor, inspector, sub-inspector, and so on. So every target will be different. We don't appreciate similar targets being unnecessarily put into documentation and followed like what? Not a smart tracking. Okay. How the results will be evaluated and reported. Key point: who will be reviewing the data? How the data will be evaluated? Who will report it? How it will be further reviewed. And another very important point: who will impose sanctions and penalties? It will be the MR, the coordinator, the team, the governing body members, or top management, or the subcontractor auditors or business associate, whatever we have planned, who is going to do it? It needs to be clearly defined and deliberated into the company before draft 1 and draft 2 are made. Because we have seen into the companies that the sanctions or penalties are being wrongly defined and divided into groups. So the imposition does not take place. Penalties remain into documents only. And sometimes the penalties are so useless that it makes no impact onto the control on bribing. It may sometimes aggravate. Finally, we have seen. So, fine. Going further into the what are the desired results? We have been understood that the policies, and now we are talking of objectives, are directly related to these various sub clauses: top management, risk and opportunity, objectives to departmental objectives, individual objectives. We say the training and awareness of the individuals, the teams, the stores, the marketing team. Sometimes most of the times we have seen into the company, most of the management system marketing team has always been turning to run away from the training activity. They think they are the masters and they have no time. Whereas we have found a lot of problems into the marketing and purchasing activity practically. Then communication is another key thing. Then improvement. Anything related to objective, not focusing toward improvement, is not of our interest as an implementer or as an auditor. So conceptually they should be trained. That is what we always say. Policy and objective training through the team should be conceptual based, not just the words of the standards or the words implemented in some other organization somewhere from where somebody has trying to take input or copy and paste or whatever activity he has done. But what is the concept of our organization implemented, and how is our top management thoughts, how is our GB function going on? That is very important. Also, it gives assurance to sustainable development goal through smart objectives, and also meets the customer requirement. Pricing should be cut down. How? If we can control the bribing into the various phases, the pricing can be cut down by a company while he is supplying materials and components, or the service activity of inspection, quality control, or supply chain management. Ultimate aim of mine as a service provider or my customers are fulfilled if we can give assurance that yes, smart objectives are being implemented. Objective should be auditable and it should be questionable, and answers should be coming out clearly when we are looking into a good English language, or whatever Arabic or Moroccan or South African or whatever language we are into a global situation, and meaning should come out of. Translation should be done so that it should be meaningful. We have seen into some of the organization in few countries where they have tried to translate it, but translation has become totally meaningless. Company could not understand themselves. Their internal audit was also done somehow, and it has become, instead of logical, it has become illogical. And bribing, instead of on a reduction path, it has increased. That's what has been reported to us by many organizations to third party auditing. Also, it should meet the needs of the interested parties while formulating while getting into the desired results. Yes, our interested party should also get benefit. When when one of the our customer has made a requirement to us, he has given a request maybe sometimes to us that yes, please, as a service provider, go for ABMS. Good objective, smart objective. We have not understood. We have not taken that feedback. So unless we involve all of them into discussion through various webinars, the formulation will not be effective. And what internal audit and what external audit results will come will be all delayed and the objectives are not achieved. And again, with the vision and mission of the policy and the direction of the company, what GB and what the top management formulated as draft objectives laid down into various functions and departments should meet the requirements, and the direction should be understood by the company. That is the thought when we say into the training, get this concept should be clear, not the words. Okay. So that's the concept of the desired results of the smart objective while we are implementing the AB policy into the organization. So now what happens? We get into the planning. We always say drafting. Drafting is the key here. Draft 1, draft 2, draft 3, revision 1, R1, R2, R3. They are the concept as engineers and as technocrats that don't just document and just approve them. Go through an exercise, go through discussion, go to sit down in the conference room for hours to finalize the ABMS objectives to support the policy and provide trainings to the teams. We have discussed it earlier also. The teams are very important. We have seen into the auditing and trainings. You train few of them and say you train others, others train others. But what happens? Is it really happening? Is their objective, ABMS objective, to train them? Yes, that the team is tracking them with the concept of ABMS understood. Displays, physical or cards or entry point or exit point. Do you display it? How are the displays? Oh yeah, display is there, but nobody can read that language. Is it the intention of a smart objective? We have seen into auditing, very huge big displays are there, but 50% of the workers, operator, or the team who is involved into service situations, the inspector, the supply chain team, the stores activity going on, but they don't understand the language. They cannot understand the displays properly. So what is the fun of doing it? So it needs to be revised and unnecessary. So the drafting, documentation, and adequate approval by spending time by the GB and the top management or the supplier involvement or the business association involvement are key to success. Available on website into auditing. Yes, it may be required, may not be required. It is the choice of the organization at times, but if it is available, it is known to the world that yes, this is an organization who is going to have a smart objective to track their ABMS system and they are going to be in control. So let's be careful while dealing them and understand the concept, give the feedback so that if I am an interested party with respect to the courier activity, while I have to dispatch some urgent courier to a different country or different district in a country, I can control the bribing situation in my further broken down objectives ABC level. Also, there are various softwares being implemented for objective tracking. So let's understand them with respect to our organizational culture and what we have done into the initial drafting exercise when we have done the gap analysis initially ourselves or with the help of a good trainer or good consultant. I say good means trained adequately and evaluated effectively before we employ them. We have seen organization who will employ a trainer or a consultant without doing a effective evaluation. Into many of our forums, we have discussed that these are the key things. We don't want to accept just he is good, he has been good, he is a good trainer for 30-35 years of experience, but is he aware of the software? Has he implemented the software themselves? Is there a case study he can demonstrate it? Or as an organizational decision, we have just purchased some software, just implemented on the team that implement this. That way we will not have a smart objective to control our ABMS. Communication within the organization and interested parties. Effective communication we discussed 7.4 within the organization, and 4.7 going through strategic direction of the organization, internal issues, external issues of the bribing. We do effective communication. Implement the actions as per AB objective plan. We have got a plan, we have got smart objectives, we have got 5, 6, 7 objectives, the tracking sheet is there. So implement the actions and develop the objective chart for implementation. Keep on developing. Nothing stops you from doing developing. Policy is not forever. Objectives are not forever. Any objective can be modified as per our procedure SOP 001 by going to again redrafting approval situations. So the charts needs to be developed and redeveloped again and again. Monitoring of the relevant processes as per the anti-bribery objectives. We always talk of relevant AB objectives is an ongoing process. We keep on monitoring it and we keep on updating it all the time into first party audit, second party audit, third party audits when we go on, even the surveillance audits and recertification. Maybe recertification have started in some of the organizations, so that also takes place as an ongoing process. It is not forever. Then implementation we keep on running to support the policy, whatever policy we have documented to control our bribing activity into the organization and trying to bring it as low as possible, not say zero all the time. We don't like do zero or 100% into the auditing, and that does not add any value into the organization. And then the effectiveness of the objective implementation, that is the key point. Whatever objective is there, it turned down to the individual objectives at times. So those individual objectives, the effectiveness needs to be enhanced. Nothing is perfect. We always say into anti-bribing management system. Okay, so we need to enhance the effectiveness always 90 to 91%, 92%, 95%, and so on. And then we keep on updating the data into anti-bribery objective planning charts as an ongoing process. We discussed it earlier also, but while we are implementation now, after 4 months, 5 months of tracking is on, the updation of data is key. Many organizations, when we go into auditing, the individual is, yes, I thought so, sir. Then we say, why you are not given the feedback to the coordinator? Why you are not given the feedback to the HO? So now, once we have a planning chart, we conduct the accurate and precise calculation after implementation. As I said, we had situations of clients where in couple of hours going through the right calculation, accurate calculation, and effective implementation, we could see through the organization's ultimate activities of the AB objective going through GB and legal and everything. Why? Because they have done accurate and precise calculation. They know correctly 91%, 92%, 92.3% unit 1, 85.6% in unit 3, few millions loss, few million gains. All this keeps on happening into the organization if we are doing the right kind of calculation. And profit and loss by way of implementation of smart objectives is seen right through here if we are doing it correctly. I always say good mathematical implementation, good engineering applications here to see that we find the correct data. So this we are reaching the data, the fact and figures, and we involve all, as I said in the beginning, starting from the lowest level of the organizations. A peon's objective is there, a security gate man objective is there, a driver objective is there for ABMS. So we involve them and we track the data, we look at the fact and figures, and then we take the correct decision for further improvements. So this is the implementation part of it. Implementation is now going on for last 4-5 months into the organization with the support of smart objectives broken down to even individual objectives we have seen into the company, and they successfully are able to implement and achieve the targets as set as smart objective to support the policy. Then what happens? We are coming to now analysis and future actions. We have seen many companies who have done well so far into the discussions up to page 6, which we have done. But the key is analysis and future action. We sometimes are tired into organization while implementing it. So that tiredness needs to be taken away by a team who is going to discuss it after implementation, after 3 months, after 6 months, whatever frequency they have decided for the review of the objective chart. So once they discuss it, they are able to wipe out their, the tiredness of implementation of few months when they discuss and see the results. And the results are coming here by the analysis of data, depending upon what techniques an organization wants to utilize for the analysis of the data, they can do it. It is very much applicable from the 9001 to all standard. Unless they do the analysis of the data, they don't know what to do with the policy, and they do not know how the various objectives will support the implementation of the organization into as a ABMS policy with the support of the top management or the GB functions or whatever we have decided as a review function and data analysis monitoring. Then what happens? We as an training organization, as an auditing organization, as a certification body team globally, we have a lot of confidence into the internal audit system of an organization when we go for the third party audit. And we want to see that internal auditors of the organizations are as good as third party auditors. They should all be on to the same wavelength, because we always say standard is the same. The only thing needs an improvement is the conceptualization of the standard with respect to our organization culture, with respect to the authorities and responsibility given for the penalties, for the targets, for the feedback, for the improvement, for the controls, and so on. So now we need to have trained and qualified internal auditors for auditing the ABMS management system, and in particularly the objectives implementation. Anybody and everybody, sometimes we have seen auditing of the ABMS objectives is not bringing any results. They will say, oh yeah, this particular fellow is absolutely trained for IMS. IMS is what? You already had a 91445. That's true, absolutely fine. But every standard has got particular specific requirement. We do not appreciate even very senior auditors sometimes going from various organizations into the training and discussion, and they feel, yeah, we know all standard. Nobody knows all standard. Nobody in the world can ever know all the standard to 100% perfection. It is always a learning situation. So internal auditors are just learners. So they should be trained adequately so that they can effectively conduct the audit. They should be trained. They should be qualified. Their performance also needs to be reviewed. There can be calibration of these internal auditors as we conduct the calibration of external auditors. There can be a situation of, we always say, yes, please do it. Calibration of these internal auditors to understand the concept of anti-bribery, objectives of your organization, sir, ABC, quality inspection company, not TPCS, where from you have taken some input. TPCS culture was different. ABTCS organization culture is different. Your organization objective, your store's objective is different. You may be into the similar kind of, product service organization or similar inspection, but your capabilities are different. Every organization capabilities are different. They can't match with others' capability. So please see that what is the capability of your internal auditors required to see that your GB functions are audited effectively. Your top management functions are effectively internally audited. Your marketing functions are audited effectively to see that how your marketing manager or how your marketing director is himself is involved or not involved, or controlling or not controlling the functions with respect to the customer implementation, customer visits, customer communication, customer inspections, drafting of reports of inspection, drafting of stores inspection and receiving, making payments to the supplier, vendors, making payments to inspectors, making payments to the suppliers of the materials and the courier companies, and maybe happening or not happening of the anti-bribery. With respect to the process requirement, plan the internal audit. We do not appreciate standard internal audit plans. Standard audit plans may be good for guidance, but every organization, as per their own culture, as per the capabilities of their trained auditors, how much grades they have achieved into the qualification and internal auditing calibration system, they should be utilized so that they can bring out the results, the non-conformities, major, minor, whatever, depending upon the situation of the implementation brought to the surface, and a good report is developed. We have done number of webinars on non-conformities and report writing. We have done, I think, the 5 series we have done, which is available on our YouTube channel, because that is a critical exercise, cannot be done anybody and everybody unless he is a trained and seasoned auditor. Even seasoned auditors do mistakes. They might be found when we are conducting the internal audit of internal audit system. Many organizations we find into their own internal audit system because they think internal auditors are very good. They are the gods of the company. Everybody can be a god for that matter. But internal auditors should never treated be as a god for the company, which happens in many of the companies by fault or by default. So internal audit system also needs to be effectively audited through their internal audit system. And then the chart of the NC, the file should be ready to show in which clause, which function we have got non-conformity, major, minor, what is the analysis coming out of this. So once we are able to do an analysis by conducting effective internal audit by trained, qualified, calibrated internal auditor, trained, retrained, performance being done, then these results are taken to a function for GB review or management review meeting. I don't say whatever name can be given. Organization give their name by their choice, but we as an qualified trained auditors globally should look at conceptually what is being done. Our concept should be clear that yes, we are going to review the SMART objectives which has been drafted, implemented, and now it is a draft 2. Not by fault review the draft 1. We have seen into the company, they go and review the draft 1 of the objectives and they fail. So that is why we always say draft 1, draft 2, R1, R2, with the date of revisions, with the support of good document data control should be brought into picture when we are going to have a effective review of the overall anti-bribery management system into the company through SMART objectives. And the team should be available there for discussions. Some organizations, we have reviewed it. Oh, very good objectives, very good policy to support by the objectives. Objective is supported by policy, policy is supported by objective, but no data, no responsibility, no authority. Tracking is being shown, but it is not supported by, as I discussed, by the facts and figures, how much you have been able to reduce or how much has been the increase. In few organizations, they tell us, sir, we started implementation and we found that the figure on bribery is increasing. So we tell them and we discuss them as an intelligent person, sir, earlier you were not seeing the data. You had no facts and figures available to you. So you thought it is increasing now. Go on, sir. Don't get disheartened. Now you have got the facts and figures of the situation through SMART objectives. So you can track it down. You can make plans of reductions. Whatever level you have are here. Initially, you have done a gap analysis. Then you have drafted, you have redrafted, you have re-evaluated it by effective internal auditing system. So now conduct an effective review meeting. Involve the associate, involve the interested parties in whatever way you want to do it as per the requirement of your AB management system and manual, whichever you have drafted. Do effective review meeting with the top management, with the GB committee members or management review meeting committee members, and do what? Implement in and monitor further actions. And as per the future plans of the AB objectives which you have discussed and done here. With respect to revised policy, I was into a company yesterday. It is a multinational company. They told me, I went there for a discussion for inclusion of some of other scope items, some other units. It is a multinational organization. I suddenly found their policy had been revised. So I said, now you are again going to go through unit additions, your policy is revised here, but do you have objectives also tracking them? Have they been revised? No, no, sir, we will just be doing it, sir. So don't call for a surveillance audit. Don't be it in hurry. Don't ask my team to give you a surveillance audit date. It may be delayed. It's okay, but delay is not going to, bring health into or heavens into the company, whatever way. But it is important that you have the controls. You yourself should be satisfied to see that your revised objectives are in line with the revised corporate anti-bribery policy, which has been just done in the month of November, and December you are planning for a review. Take your time, do it in a organized way. Don't fail into a surveillance audit. Don't try to get a major non-conformity, and then unnecessarily your team will be disheartened. And many times we have seen when the teams are getting disheartened, demotivated, the things start breaking. So we want to support those organizations by way of what is we have seen into the NC5 series, a positive non-conformity, and a non-conformity which adds value here by a trained auditor. Once that is done, then we are into a tracking situation where we have defined the dates, the plans, the revised objectives, the future plans to support the future policy of the organization, maybe increasing or reducing whatever is the plan of the top management through GB implementation, and we go into further improvements into our anti-bribery objectives and ultimate aim to achieve anti-bribery management system. Once we are able to get into a readiness, so now what we do, we look at a situation of third party certification, and we get into certification bodies, studies who are providing more trainings, who are giving us, the auditing services. We have TNV certification, private limited accredited by IAS for 37,001 standard. We have got several clients globally who has been supported by our auditing team. We also have got, the training activity, exemplar global approved training for 80 plus courses. One of them is 37,001 standard also. So one can go through our website and study more and learn more. And this is what I had to discuss. If we want to recap this is like objectives measurable is the key point. Organizations say that, but we find into the first party audit, second party, third party audit results that yes, they are not practicable at times. So practical objective to support a practical policy, it should be achievable, monitored. Don't say everything can be done in 2 months, all objectives achieved in 3 months. Not correct. I don't want to use the language, but we find a situation sometimes where we try to hit our head at times into the auditing. Oh, what are they doing? This is not be expected out of a organization after 6 months, because they have not gone into proper communication. They have not gone into the study of these things. Who will be responsible? They have by default identified a wrong resource at times. So then it is studied and done so on. Imposing of sanctions and penalties, all going wrong sometimes into the organization, not being able to caught in first party audit sometimes, only find out in third party audits and they get into problems. Then the concept of linkages needs to be understood. We always say policy, objectives, organization, context of organization, training, communication, top management improvement, all are interrelated. These links to be understood clearly. Few of these linkages I have tried to identify here, which are critical for the implementation. Then training of the team. Then sustainable development goals. We should always have a thought wherever we are traveling, wherever we are going. Language meaningful, logical. Don't get ashamed of speaking in management review meeting. Sir, I don't understand this language. I am sitting into North Korea now. This was developed in Morocco plant, or this was developed in Hong Kong unit. So we don't understand this language, and this language is not meaningful. My operation in South Korea. So let's revise it. So let's speak out when you are talking of a smart objective. Also should take care all the time as an ongoing process that yes, vision mission of all of us and interested parties are met with when we are putting down into various departmental functions which are meeting with various interested parties. The interfacing are there into supply chain management system or logistics or interlogistics. The key is, again, we say, when we are into planning activity, drafting, documentation, and approval, enough time must be spent here. Enough gap analysis should be done. Using the resources as we discussed, internal, external, is the choice of the organization, but take the right decision and approve the right document, right source, right faculty. Don't be in hurry here, and provide training to the teams. And then display and implementation of various kinds of hardware, software, whatever you have. We as a service provider may have a very good software available with one of our suppliers. So don't get ashamed. Don't think he's our supplier. Whatever, he's a part of our organization as an interested party. Take their support. We have seen many organizations taking the support of the subcontractor, inspectors, quality controllers team, and the suppliers. Maybe at times they are much higher into the bribing control situation into their organization. So take inputs, use their documents as guideline only, then convert into your documentation as per your culture, as per your organizational capabilities, and display and etc. Do as per the requirement and as per your capability, so that a good spread is done, good communication and good conceptual understanding is done. Then we get into the action plan and we get into the analysis part, and we always look at relevant processes. We have seen into some of the companies, they just address some process and they find, oh yeah, it should be attended to. Yeah, there can be a lot of bribery control in this area, but we went into go into the second party, third party audit centering. Sometimes in few minutes we are able to demonstrate this is a totally irrelevant process with respect to your smart tracking of the objectives. So redraft it, no problem. It's an ongoing process of improvement. Wherever we are today, we may be into a stage one audit or a stage two audit or surveillance one or surveillance two. It is an ongoing process with respect to the analysis of smart objectives. So do it. Then implementation is on, as we discussed. We ultimately get the fact and figures, and we involve the entire team of the organization. Involve a smallest newly joined peon. Maybe he can give a very good feedback. A seasoned peon may not give a good feedback. So utilize your intellectuals with the support of the trainers, the consultants, the visitors. Take their feedback. They at times give very good feedback. Sometimes as an organization, we ignore them and we think, no, we are very knowledgeable. We are the team of highest knowledgeable company as a training or certification body, or as a service provider or manufacturer. Leave all those thoughts behind and get down to the tracking of the objectives by looking into the facts and figures. We have seen organizations where feedback has come and that has changed the shape of the organization with respect to their bribing values and the amounts which they have benefited finally. Then analysis is the key to success of the anti-bribery objectives implementation. If we can utilize these various techniques, some organization has been telling us, sir, this was the 9001 being implemented. There we have implemented. We are an automotive company. We are a NABC or NABL certified company. We are a AIG approved company. We are a API approved company already. Forget all that. When you are going into this, independently look at your AB objective and see how the implementation of AB objective can be run through the organization, and supported by the trained, qualified, calibrated internal auditors whose concepts are clear onto the implementation. And then effective management review, not done in few minutes, in 1 or 2 half pages. We have seen companies doing it, and then we have stopped them. We have said, no, we don't accept all this. Do it in a proper, defined, as per your procedure. You have gone through the stage one, stage two audit. Now you are into surveillance. So what is this management review meeting of 2 pages of 1 hour? We don't accept all this as third-party auditors. We go into the logical discussions and involvement of the top management team and so on. And then we implement the actions, and finally improvement into the AB objectives and AB MS management system. That is the whole objective. Always think of PDCA, always think of the management principle. They are all applicable into all management system. They might have derived from the base, but they are all everywhere. So let's understand it conceptually and go on and get benefit as a global community from anti-bribery smart objectives, which will ultimately make us achieve the anti-bribery policy throughout the organization. So thank you very much. Now, if you have any questions, you are most welcome. Apurv, back to you.
If any of our participants has any questions, they can please ask now. If the participants do not have any questions as of now, I would suggest that this particular video will be live on our YouTube channel known as TNV Academy. And you can watch this particular webinar and all the other webinars which we have done earlier as well, as many times as you want, and it is available absolutely free. So in case if you have any questions at that particular point of time, you can always put the questions in the comment section of the video, and we will be transferring those questions to Mr. Ajay Bajpai or the concerned speaker, and they will be really happy answering them. We have now come to the conclusion of this particular session. First of all, I extend my heartiest greetings to all the participants who took out time from their busy schedule and joined this particular webinar. I can surely say that the participants must have enjoyed the context of the webinar, which was discussed by Mr. Ajay Bajpai today, anti-bribery objectives and planning to achieve them. And they must have been benefited by the vast and huge knowledge shared by Mr. Ajay Bajpai on this particular complex topic, anti-bribery objectives and planning to achieve them. We always look ahead for conducting several webinars on various topics which are not covered by us or not covered by any industry which is available in the market. So I request you that you will be getting these webinar links in the future as well, and you can always join these particular webinars. We will be really happy to have you on board. I really thank Mr. Ajay Bajpai for taking out time from his busy schedule and accepting this invitation to be the guest speaker for today's webinar. And I really extend my heartiest congratulations and thanks to him for conducting this webinar smoothly. I wish you all a very best of luck on behalf of TNV Academy, and I look forward to all of you of joining the webinar again with us. Thank you so much for your participation. Have a great wishes from TNV Academy. Thank you.